Well, here's my latest little project. This is a International 254, and it had been sitting for about 10 years, if not longer. And the story that I got from it was they accidentally put gasoline in the tank and the engine just died. And so they really didn't mess with it anymore. They just parked it and it sat there, and it kind of got to the stage that it is now. All four tires were flat. Engine hadn't been cranked in 10 years, like I said. And so I was going to get it going and see if we can salvage it. This was the condition that the fuel sediment bowl was in. And I guess the sunset or sunrise would hit this thing, and it got to where it would interact with the diesel fuel, and it just ate it up to nothing. I think I've located one, and it'll be here in a few more days. Because the fuel bowl condition that it was in, I didn't want to just put fuel in the tank. I wasn't going to have any way to keep it in there. So luckily I had this little tank that came off the Duramax engine, and so I just plumbed it in. This is a little Mitsubishi engine, 3-cylinder. I think it's 24 horsepower. This is the air intake hose from the air cleaner. It was just completely deteriorated, and there was a mouse nest or rat nest here on top of the engine. And I kind of had to take the manifold loose and make sure I got all that out of the intake. But here I had some odd and end stuff that I kind of put together and fabricated up a new air cleaner hose. Also in the air cleaner housing, I just happened to have another filter to put in it, because that old filter had like little hackberry seeds and all that, where that little mouse had tried to make a nest up in there. What I'm doing right at the moment is I'm replacing both the front tires. They were both flat when I got the tractor, and they're tubeless tires and they won't hold air. And besides, on the bottom where they were pushed up against the ground, they were cracked real bad. And well, here after a lot of work, I was able to get that all buffed off. I've got a little angle grinder with a wire wheel on it, and got the biggest part of that stop leak stuff off. And you can see how it's kind of rusted and pitted the metal. But what I was doing is going to spray a nice layer of primer in there. Whether or not that'll help it or not, I don't know, but at least it makes me feel better when I put it back together. changing the oil, repairing the intake pipe, getting the rat's nest out of the intake. I bled the fuel system and put this temporary fuel tank on there because I knew it was a good clean source for the fuel. The original tank, because of that fuel filter melting and all that, I really want to kind of get in there and check it. I looked in there with a flashlight and it looked okay. But I've already had this engine running a couple of days ago, and so we are starting it cold here. And oh, something else that was funny, the ignition switch, the whole back end of the ignition switch popped out. And of course, you know, sparks started flying, so it was a mad dash to get the battery disconnected. But anyway, we got that fixed temporarily, and I got another switch coming. But anyway, we're going to see if it'll fire up today. Making sure it's in neutral. Give it a little fuel. Alright, so here we go.